coming to you from his mobile studio in Alameda, California. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph, Zig, Tycho.
Wow, what a nice introduction. Thank you, Paulie B. I'm back. Zig in the Zone, number 23, episode number 23. And Paulie, I couldn't ask for a better guest given the situation we're in as a country and as a planet. Fred Wallin, welcome back to Zig in the Zone.
Well, yesterday, we're taping this on Tuesday. Yesterday, Monday, July 1st, 2024, in my mind, one of the worst days in the history of this country. And I'm talking December 7th. I'm talking September 11th. I'm talking Vietnam. I'm talking anything. The Supreme Court in this country has gone crazy. And if Trump wins, we're all dead.
We just have to blame the corruption of two Supreme Court members, Alioto and Long Dong Clarence, for being corrupt. His wife, Thomas, was involved in the insurrection. And people don't realize that the insurrection could have ended democracy right there. And they've got the Supreme Court to verify that it's okay. I don't understand it, and I don't understand why the powers that be can't recuse these people from making judgments at all, because the terrible day that you refer to is only caused by the Supreme Court. It's been terrible all along, but trials don't stop this guy. Convictions don't stop this guy. And I'm going to ask you both, Paulie and Fred, is there any hope?
Yeah, the only hope in my mind, if Biden steps aside, we've got 126 days running somebody else. Biden can't win. 72% of America after Thursday night's speech indicate they don't think he's up to the job. 72%. So it's not even the Trump people. It's the people that 90% of the time vote democratically can't vote for this guy. He's got to step aside. Today, Tuesday, as we tape this, the first congressman from Texas came out and told Biden to do so. Apparently, there are at least 4 others. Biden has to put his ego aside and step aside and give us a shot. And let me just state this unequivocally. My mom was very political. My dad was not. So I had sports and I had politics. And my mom, was obviously alive when Earl Warren was governor of California. And Earl Warren was mostly conservative. He was right wing. He ran for the presidency as vice president in 1948. Okay. But then he leaves the governor's job. He becomes the head of the Supreme Court. And he wasn't a right winger. He was down the middle. There were a lot of issues, many issues, where he leaned toward the left. And so that's what we need. That's what we don't have. We've got people right now, it was 6-3 vote yesterday, and some of them were 5-4. Right now, we've got at least 5 people that are so stubborn that no matter what Trump says and Trump's people say, they're going to be on his side. And so we're in a mess beyond belief. And Trump's not going to step aside. Biden, our only hope, he's got to step aside, give a younger person a shot to beat Donald Trump.
Now, do you think that either Liz Cheney or Gavin Newsom can beat him? I do.
Well, Liz Cheney conservatively on every issue except this, she's not going to, she wouldn't be the one to get the opportunity. Gavin Newsom might. There were others. Sherrod Brown, the senator from Ohio, in my mind, and he's 70 himself, can get it done. The two senators from Oregon could get it done. There are senators out there that can get it done. Right now, off of that performance on Thursday night, we need somebody who can walk and talk at the same time. And Biden can't do that.
You know, Biden's camp is making the plea that he was under the influence of medication for a severe cold, this, that, and the other thing. And he even gave a speech afterwards where he sounded somewhat coherent, mostly coherent.
Except there was a teleprompter.
There was a what?
Teleprompter.
Oh, yes.
So I
That's true.
don't need somebody who can read a teleprompter. I need somebody who, when Trump lies, can respond, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. In that debate on Thursday night, Trump said he didn't screw around with Stormy Daniels. At that point, it wouldn't have been that tough for a normal human being to say, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. She testified in court. And she's, by the way, again, we're taping this on Tuesday night, 6 o'clock on MSNBC Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight, 2-hour interview with Stormy Daniels. That should help if Biden steps aside.
If Biden steps aside, who might convince him to do so, because he's an embarrassment to his family? Can his wife just lead him off into the sunset and say, come with me, dear. You've done enough. You've been what you've been all these months. And remember, too, that Anita Hill tried to warn the country about Clarence Thomas, and Biden didn't listen to her.
1991, there were two other women, you were 100% correct, who wanted to testify. Biden was the lead Democrat. He didn't force the subject, so they never got to testify. So every time Uncle Clarence takes a stand, remember that Joe Biden is part of the reason. You're 100% correct.
Right. Paulie B., what say you?
Well, there's a lot of stuff there going on. Okay, so you started off with saying, I wish somebody with like the powers of be would come in and save us all. That's the problem. The Supreme Court was our powers to be. They were supposed to come in and represent us all, but they didn't. We know they didn't. As far as the debate, yeah, it was horrible. Definitely was hoping for a better showing. And, you know, we have one person that definitely looked like he wasn't all there, but then we have another person that was had his faculties, but still could not stop lying. And so, I don't know. I'd rather have a doddering old man that has the best of intentions running the country than someone that's a narcissist.
Paul, I have to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
We mentioned 1991. Okay, let's go back.
Sure.
1977. Joe Biden's first term as senator from Delaware. The busing issue was the number one issue in this country.
I remember that. Right.
He makes a speech on the Senate floor for an hour, stating the following: "I don't want my kids anywhere near the jungle." That was the same. That was the same time period when the Hyde Amendment went up, giving the federal government control over women as far as abortions are concerned. Biden was on the wrong side of that. He has been on the wrong side of a whole slew of issues. The only reason he got the nomination in 2000, James Clyburn opened his big mouth as if Biden was the answer. At that point, Biden probably was in the 4th or 5th spot of the Democrats. That's the only reason he got the nomination was James Clyburn. So I've never been a Biden guy. No, but now you've got a doddering old Biden who can't walk on stage and can't say anything at the same time that makes any sense. So people
whatever
saw
his
that.
intentions are, they're not working. He's not coming across as the proper candidate. He needs to be convinced to resign, to not resign, retire, and just say, listen, this is all too much. And it's not working. And I would put my ego aside. I'm talking about him talking personally. And for the sake of the country, put it aside and let's go get on with it. I don't know if Gavin Newsom can win for sure, but he could stand on stage and identify what Trump says to when he's lying, and he is on every count. And there was supposed to be a fact checker from CNN. What happened there?
I don't know. They didn't say anything every time he lied. They didn't say a word, and it's a very
Although they
tough
did
situation.
report after. They did report how many lies after.
After doesn't help. Has to be in the middle of the debate, and Biden's not capable himself of knowing when Trump's lying.
Hold on. So how would that have worked? Hold on. So how would that have worked? Trump
could have but every time he lied, push a button and supersede the microphones of those two assholes and come on and say, this is why he's lying about this. And cite, not just say he's lying, but say why he's lying or how he's lying.
Well, they can't start inflicting opinion. They would just have to be facts. I think, like you said, they would have to hit a buzzer. They would have to go foul, 3 points, lie on the 50-yard line, immigration. They're not going to build the wall. They're not going to pay for it. Move on. So, but if you did that, I think I have to go back and look. But wasn't the number like 350 times he lied? There would have been no debate.
That's normal.
That's
normal.
On just that debate.
Let me finish my thought.
And you say bring in Stormy Daniels. He's denying he ever screwed her.
Right. I get it. That shouldn't even be. That shouldn't even be.
51 million people watch that debate. It's almost impossible. It is impossible to overcome the 51 million that saw that debate to now give Biden another chance. He's a doddering old guy. I'm not young. Ralph's not young.
You're going to have a hard time giving him another. Hold on.
But the point is, we could have caught the lies that Biden used, that Trump used on the interview for 90 minutes. And I don't know how many there were. You said 350. I don't know. Doesn't matter. He lies every time he opens his mouth. But the point being, the future is so precarious right now because there's a guy, he said he wants a military tribunal against Liz Cheney when he takes over. Now think about that for a moment. He wants a military tribunal to put her in prison against Liz Cheney. Who's next?
And maybe execute her if he gets
Anthony Fauci next. Anthony Fauci has saved millions of people's lives, but he'll put him on trial. This is what we're heading for.
And Pelosi comes out and says, and I quote, they were going to put a bullet in my freaking head and nobody listens. And I just got to say, Pence, whose family was threatened, let alone him, is now going, he's okay. What is this, a puppet show? Who's pulling the strings?
Supreme Court's pulling the strings right now.
Well, and my friends who know me will know that after the 2016 election, I said, we're doomed right here. What with his appointments in the Supreme Court, we're doomed. So this may just be a coming of what was to be expected back in 2016 when he took over and crammed uh, the majority of the Supreme Court right down our throats. I'm appalled. You know, it's worse. Like Fred says, it's worse than anything this country has seen. And
because Trump has already shown us what he did. Now he's got almost total immunity. He can do anything he wants, and he will. And he will. You know, the people are saying, yeah, tribunal, military tribunal. There's no reason he won't do it. He's got the Supreme Court on his side. He can't lose. It doesn't make any difference. How many people are going to be forced to leave this country knowing that Trump's going to go after him? Anthony Fauci again. He's written a book now. I've seen him being interviewed. He has saved people from HIV. He saved millions or tens of thousands, certainly with COVID. By the way, I had COVID for 4 weeks. That's why I didn't talk to you, Ralph. But I'm still coughing from it. I went to the hospital. But the point being, Anthony Fauci is somebody you know that Trump's going to go after. And as Paul indicated, Nancy Pelosi, somebody he's going to go after. He might go after Nikki Haley. I don't know. Even though Haley said that she'd end up voting for him, you know, she debated it. You know, he wouldn't debate her, but she made some comment. Maybe he'll go after Nikki Haley. He'll do what he said in this case because he's got total freedom to do so.
Well, you don't want to see another assassination, but you do. And that in itself, I could be executed for saying that. They could come after the people who disagree and who state the truth as we know it.
There's an expression from the God. There's an expression from the Godfather: sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah. Hey, let's change the subject to an even more depressing, if you could imagine that. For some reason, in the last, and I think a lot of these deaths, Hank Aaron's, were COVID related. So, but we're losing our icons in sports. And Fred and I, the reason we have nothing but politics and sports to talk about. And this was an incredibly depressing week or 2 weeks. Let me start with some of the people that we've lost. And we could talk about those people. Jerry West, Chet Walker, Orlando Cepeda, and Willie Mays as examples. How much grief can we take? You mentioned, and it's true, I'm getting older. Old people shouldn't be put through this ringer of mortality anyway. Add to it the pressures of not knowing where the country is going and who's going to be where when this all falls down. It's incredibly depressing, I must say. I'm not a depressive, but in a lifetime, I haven't suffered many truly depressing moments. Let me say this too. The Comfortably Zone network has been hit with an incredible amount of illness and mortality. Let me step back and say the likes of Jerry Feidelberg going through some horrible physical problems. George Grimm, who co-wrote my book with me, going through some horrible physical problems. George Giancakis, going through horrible physical problems. And last but certainly not least, Marty Rose, who's going through a case of ALS, which is a mind fuck for all of us. First of all, you rarely hear about people developing ALS in their 70s. It's a young man's disease, or woman, as testified by Lou Gehrig, who brought it on. So that he's going through that. My lifetime friend in the second grade together, part of the Comfortably Zone network. It's just horrible, and I must admit that I am, if not clinically depressed, getting there.
Ralph, let me say this. I'm so sorry about all these names that just threw out there, but if Trump wins versus a younger Democrat, which side do you think would spend more money to try to find a cure for ALS or other or types of cancer or things like this? Do you think Donald Trump only thinks of himself? Or
well, look at what he did during COVID. He absolutely lied for political purposes.
Okay.
To say that the other side wasn't doing their job. Fuck it. If the other side isn't doing their job, that has to come in second to saving, like Fauci says, millions of lives. And Trump causing many deaths. Do you remember when the trucks were backed up because the hospitals couldn't care for these people? They couldn't give them proper burial. They couldn't take care of themselves. And this was only 3 years ago. And say what you want about Biden, he took care of it. It's just nuts. That's all you can say.
Remember when Trump said it'll be gone by Easter Sunday of
right.
2020? That's what we're talking about. He's never right, but he keeps talking. That's why a younger guy has to run against him. It just, you mentioned Willie Mays, Orlando Cepeda, Jerry West, Chet Walker. I grew up here in Southern California. I was an Elgin Baylor guy, but West is one of the top 5 or 6 players of all time, 83 years of age. And 2 years ago on HBO, they started this show Showtime, where it lasted 2 seasons, where they made Jerry West as totally crazy. Now, growing up, watching him, that's one thing, but being in the clubhouse, being in the press room with him, he was excitable, but he wasn't crazy. They made him crazy to help sell that show. That's why I was very happy after 2 years they canceled it. It just unfathomable that you make somebody like Jerry West like he's a crazy human being. No, he cared about winning as much as anybody probably in sports has cared about winning, but he wasn't crazy, and they made him crazy. This is what we're talking about in this world right now. Things are not normal. People just will do anything and say anything to make a few extra bucks or to make themselves superstars or things like that.
Yeah. Well, you jokingly referred to my age, Fred, and it's true. I'm glad I'm old. I'm glad because I got to experience things that young people haven't and won't be allowed, if things go the way they are, to experience life at its freshness, at its fullness, at the innocence of our youth. Watching Oscar and Jerry West play together, along with Baylor, you mentioned, who, God knows, if he hadn't been hurt, what the threesome of Baylor, West, and Wilt would have been like. Baylor's last few years were injury riddled, and I hate to see that happen in any sport. And Orlando Cepeda, who made the Hall of Fame, imagine how he would have been looked upon had he not been injured all those years. It's horribly depressing. Let's talk about Willie for a minute. Let me see if I can move this over. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's a Willie Mays jersey, an exact replica from 1951, thanks to Peter Trunk, that I treasure. What did Willie mean to you? You're a Dodger fan. What did Willie mean to you?
Well, Terry Cashman's song, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. I've got I've got a photograph of Duke that I never take off the wall here. I was always a Duke guy, but because I was a Dodger fan. But I knew that there wasn't a better all-around player than Willie Mays. Duke was a fine center fielder. Mickey Mantle was a fine center fielder, but Willie was the center fielder. So you can't ever take that away from him. And as you indicated, all of a sudden, week after week, on the cover of last week's USA Today Sports Weekly is Willie Mays. A couple weeks before, they did a big article on Jerry West, and now they're going to, I'm sure, write something about Orlando Cepeda and Chet Walker, players like that. I mean, it's frightening. And as you indicated, getting old has one advantage, that if things get as bad as we think they're going to be, if Trump wins, better. But the other side of it, you got to have hope that all Biden, look, you're in a business and I'm in a business where people have major league egos. I'm not questioning that. But can't somebody say he's got a heart ailment or something like that? He's stepping aside. So somebody, right now, you have 126 days from this today, taping on Tuesday, 126 days, 18 weeks until the election. 18 weeks is enough for, if you said Newsom, I don't care who it is. I want somebody who's younger. That's all. Anybody younger is going to be better.
Not just younger, having all their faculties.
Yeah, that's all.
I could appreciate old age. I like to think I have most of my faculties, but they never were enough in my life to be qualified for president. How could these people not come forward? How could Jill Biden not take him aside and be convinced that he's an embarrassment? And not only is he an embarrassment, but he's scary. For the country.
March 31, 1968, I would drive from college to the Gene McCarthy headquarters every day. And then the New Hampshire primary took place, and Lyndon Johnson got 48%, and Gene McCarthy got 43%. That night, or the next night, Lyndon Johnson goes on TV and he says he's not running again. My point is, why? Because he knew he was in trouble against Nixon. Lyndon Johnson had an ego. He did the right thing. Okay. Uh, it ended up that Kennedy got assassinated, RFK, so that he probably would have had the nomination if that not be the case. I was a G. McCarthy person. But my point I'm trying to make is Biden has to put his ego aside and step aside. I don't care if he said it's his doctor says and lies at this point. He's got a heart ailment or something. So it's not like he's forced to do it. Let's just say he's sick. He's got an illness. God forbid he has COVID or something. He's stepping aside. I don't care if it's Whitmer. I don't care I don't care if it's Senator from Oregon. I don't care if it's Newsom. It would be better for our chances against a lying blank like Trump. Any of these people would have a better shot than Joe Biden. Biden has no shot against Trump. We got 18 weeks from this very minute.
He'll never come back from that first debate, as you mentioned.
Nope.
And, like I said, when Hillary didn't have the strategy to compete with Trump, I said, it's part of the process is in part to see if one has the ability to face that kind of thing. And Hillary didn't have it, but I guarantee you that there's someone out there that can do better than Biden. And that's all you could ask for at this point, is to take a shot and give us a chance. And I think it's a crime that Jill, who seems to be the only one in control of him on some level, doesn't take, which makes her culpable.
Yeah, instead of going down in history as a good guy, if somebody else takes over and beats Trump, he'll be thought of as a bad guy from people like me forever. And my sons and my grandsons and your sons and your grandsons will always think of Biden as somebody his ego was bigger than his care for his ego was bigger than the care for the country and the rest of the world.
If they're allowed to continue if they're allowed to speak their thoughts when Trump becomes president, when and if, God forbid.
Again,
so
sleeping with the fishes.
You want to chip in here a little bit, Paulie B?
Well, I'm listening to you guys going back and forth, and I understand you guys all both have valid points. It's just I still think all these arguments for him retiring or getting out of the race are 20 times that for his running or the person he's running against. I mean,
no,
we should be a country if we can't even realize what he's doing. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. There's fact checkers. You have morals. You have a brain. For people that don't understand what kind of narcissist and just he's a runaway train. And so for us not to see that, I understand. Yeah, Biden definitely had a bad showing. He had a bad showing. I think he's had 2 public appearances since then that were pretty good. But I think it's kind of going back to what Fred had said earlier about I don't necessarily want somebody can read from a teleprompter. I mean, Trump.
Well, you don't
Trump
want
can't
somebody who can't
Trump
read from the
Trump goes off
teleprompter.
script all the time, and it just shows how crazy he is.
And Paul, let me say this: they did a poll afterwards, and 72% of the people that viewed the thing don't think that Biden is capable of being president for 4 years. 72% didn't say that Trump's a liar. And believe me, they should be at exactly the same point.
No, but
I mean,
they haven't
100%,
said it, but they know it.
100%
They
should say
haven't
Trump's
said
a
it.
liar.
They haven't said it, but they know it.
But no, enough people don't know. Enough people
No,
don't follow that closely.
41%, at least 41% of the populace, the unwashed masses, don't know it or don't care to address it because they just want someone of their ilk to be in power, no matter what.
Yeah, even if it's Hitler. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And then the
Um,
other thing is, we want someone
let
younger.
me ask,
Hold
let
on.
me ask you guys.
We also want someone younger. Then I guess someone younger has to step the fuck up because nobody will.
Well,
Nobody
again,
ran a
we got-
campaign nearly as good as him. He's not even really the it's not even the Democratic choice right now. Neither is Trump. And they're having debates. It's because they're the lesser or they're the only thing that's left. It's
well,
like
because nobody would run against him for real.
right.
And but the point here is that, you guys ever see the movie Judgment at Nuremberg?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, Spencer Tracy and Montgomery Cliff and Burt Lancaster, and this is they went back to 1948. The henchmen had already been prosecuted, and some of them had been killed, some of them had been hung, and some of them had put in jail. But the Judgment at Nuremberg movie was about the judges in Germany. And basically, if you think about it, we're in exactly the same scenario as Judgment at Nuremberg. The 6 people, in some cases 5, that voted for the immunity, if people end up dying, if there's concentration camps, if there's a world trial after the fact, these people are as guilty as the German judges were in Judgment at Nuremberg. And that took place in 1948. The original trials were in 45, of course. What I'm saying is that we're not any different than the Germans. Germany was considered the smartest country in Europe. Believe me, we're not the smartest country anywhere. I think we're 19th in math and things like that. So my point is, if people would maybe see a movie like Judgment at Nuremberg, they'd understand you can't say, I was just following orders. And that's what these 6 on this court basically are saying. Well, that's what he said, and I trusted him, and this and that. That didn't get the Germans out, and that wouldn't get these 6 out either. And again, and if Trump wins, maybe 1 or 2, the 3 female Democrats, they may survive the 4 years. Maybe he'll push them out too, so he'll be able to pick two more judges on the Supreme Court, which used to be, in my mind, where you could go for trust, you could go for some closeness of civility and
Some morality.
Yeah, but you can't now because
and the Supreme Court always kind of has been that safety net.
Yeah.
But when
now it's the
Roe
opposite.
versus Wade was pulled out from under us.
Oh, how a woman can vote for Trump in today's day and age is absolutely amazing to me. Not just because they're women, and how a man who's married to a woman, who has a daughter, who has a mother, who has an aunt, who has a niece, can put up with that, remembering that we are only as good as the other, as we were perceive the other gender to be. And it's crazy. I keep saying that because I'm at a loss for words that could, I'd like to have the words that could say, oh yeah, that podcast should go viral and people should expect that. Tycho's got the idea, and Wallin and Paulie B are the ones that that came up with it with him, and we should all be given medals of honor, the three of us, because no one else. I mean, there are other people that are appalled by it as well. I don't think there are as many people that can articulate it like we're doing it. And I don't think there are many people that will listen to us because they're greedy too and they want the power. They perceive that Trump's power is going to rub off on them. McConnell, for instance, wishy-washy motherfucker. That's enough. You came out originally and said that this guy should not be president, that the insurrection was a crime against the nation. No one has the balls yet to prosecute him. And because of the Supreme Court, can they prosecute him? Will their prosecution hold up? They're talking about the New York case being in jeopardy because of the Supreme Court's decision. You're right, Fred. The worst day in history was last Thursday. No matter how it turns out.
Next Thursday, the 11th, was supposed to be sentencing day for Trump. They've already backed that up.
Oh, that won't happen now?
That won't happen now. It's already backed up.
Oh, Christ.
So
here's the thing is they had already passed judgment on him. He had already been found guilty.
Right, but I mean, but the public would hear, what the judge would be giving him as far as sentencing is concerned. They're not going to hear that now. It's probably not going to be heard till October or after the election.
The other thing is the Supreme Court deal is only for things that you're doing as a job as a president. He wasn't president yet. That was personal. That was during the campaign. So he should not get any kind of deal from that at all.
Let's fail to not realize again that it's not allegations we're talking about. He was convicted by a jury of his peers. And the justice system...
They had 12 orangutans on the jury? Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry.
You're a comedian, damn it.
I know, I had to say it because it pisses me off.
Yeah. But good question to ask oneself. And how about the 41%? Where does their thought process come in?
Where it comes in is the fact, if you ask the truth, people in this country want to think they're better than somebody else. So when Trump uses terms like bloodlines or concentration camps or immigration from Central or South America, he's telling them it's a whistleblowing type situation, that he's on our side. He knows we're better than these people. And so what I'm saying is that you can be impoverished, but you want to feel you're better than somebody else. Trump makes them feel that they're better than somebody else. That's why this is the 41% remains at 41%, whereas end up going up. But as his niece Mary, and I read her book 3 years ago, said again, Donald Trump is the only person I know with no redeeming values.
Right, and she sat at family dinners with him. She was a relative of his father, who was a slumlord, goes back to Woody Guthrie and stuff.
Beach Haven. The song was called Beach Haven. Wrote
Oh,
about
really?
Fred Trump.
Beat Donald?
No, Beach Haven. Beach and then Haven by Woody Guthrie was the song of Fred Trump. Fred Trump wouldn't lease or sell or rent a home to African American soldiers coming back from World War II. Woody Guthrie wrote Beach Haven. Google it. You can listen to it. It's right on target. It's Fred Trump.
Wow. Crazy world. Hey, great podcast. Let's end it with your opinion and an acknowledgement that Chet Walker was one of the 10 greatest basketball players. And you can't narrow it down to 10 all these years, but he gets, even before he died, gets very little credit for his accomplishment. Chet Walker was great. Back in the days when there were 8 teams and 10 players on a team, and to be on the team and be an African American, you had to be something. I've had Sam Stith, Tommy Stith's late brother, who was a pro himself, a former New York Knickerbocker, explain the quota system as if I needed explaining it to, but our audience does, what a black person had to go through to play in the NBA when the maximum, until Red Auerbach came along, the maximum was two to a team. And this is back in the 60s. So it wasn't good back then, and it's not getting any better. But I just want to say Chet Walker, his combination with Love and it was some great basketball. Those teams were so deep. The old NBA was terrific.
And the Boston Celtics are up for sale, and they're talking $5 billion.
Wow.
And
based on the reputation of Larry Bird and Bill Russell and it's amazing what is involved in the pricing of these franchises in all sports. That's
the group that owns the Celtics bought them for $360 million, and they're now worth $5 billion.
Yeah. What are we coming to? And I've used this example when the A's are in the process of moving to Las Vegas, and it's only the teachers union that are getting in the way by saying the money to finance all this, to build a new stadium, should be going to the education. Fred mentioned that we're like 17th in this world in the quality of education, the results of education. You got to put money into education before you put money into sports. No one loves sports more than Fred and I, and Paulie too.
Oh, yeah.
But let's be serious. If you're taken away from educating your kids and they become like this generation, and they don't become better than this generation, it's all for naught. And that's why Trump is in the position he's in, is because folks aren't educated to read books, to read history. And
it's getting worse. They're taking books out of the library.
yeah, oh yeah. And reciting the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever the hell they're reciting, that takes away from the separation of church and state.
There are 6,000 religions in this world, and if we put just one religion on top in this country, what is that saying?
It says that Christianity has a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of idiocy.
There it is, and that's Trump, who's the least religious human being on earth, but he's putting the image up.
Hey, the fucker has a copy of Mein Kampf on his bedside. What does that tell you?
Autograph.
And by using the expression concentration camps, if that doesn't appall people, just the use of that, and who in our history have gone to concentration camps? It's a lot of it is the prejudice against we Jews, Fred.
There are good people on both sides.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, referring to the Ku Klux Klan, I can't even pronounce it, so what the hell do I know? But I do know enough that I responded, no, there isn't good people on both sides. They may have good intentions sometimes, but they don't have the knowledge or the ability to be good people. And I blame the parents.
We will not be replaced. We will not be replaced. We will not be replaced. And Trump won't even admit what he said that horrible day in 2017 in Charlottesville. And if Biden doesn't step aside, this jerk is going to be president again.
They need someone who will call him out, Trump, on every little major indiscretion, and just pure lies. If he can be elected on pure lies or run on pure lies, and I'd like to say people are getting what they deserve, but we don't deserve this.
The highest percentage of votes that Hitler ever got in Germany was 37%. 37%.
And the most popular, I'm reading Dresden, Slaughterhouse 5 right now, for about the 5th time in my lifetime. And we were only following orders, made an excuse for Dresden, which had the highest population per capita of Nazis around in those days. Yep. And here we are 60, 70 years later, still fighting the same battle.
And getting worse.
And it's getting worse. We're not winning. Take us out, Paulie.
All right.
I think it was a great show, and Fred, I thank you for having the same ideology as Paulie and I.
And Fred, give us a shout out. How do we keep up with everything that you're doing or promote? It's time for your shameless plugs.
I'm sorry, you want me to say something at the end right now?
Yeah, I'd like you to promote yourself in any way you want, or shout out, or you got any wares to hawk, or what you got?
Okay. Thank you guys very much. This has been very insightful, and I hope people.
It's been cathartic for all three of us.
And I hope people start thinking, but I'm really not sure that's going to be possible. But anyways, you can listen to us on Sports Overnight America, Friday night at 10 p.m. at midnight and Saturday night at 10 p.m. at midnight. And also you can hear us on Believe, BLEAV, and you can hear us on Pod Clips. Most of it is non-political. Mostly it's sports, but it's a little bit of politics involved, but nothing like today's show right here, Ralph. And I thank you for having a show like this where people can express themselves and maybe say things that other people haven't heard.
Well, maybe say it. Maybe what we're saying is in a way that people can appreciate what they have heard before and call to action. In the meantime, we got to get out the vote. Even if Biden stays on the ticket, he ought to be able to beat Trump if we get out the vote. If we talk to our neighbors and don't accept the status quo or go down trying. That's all we can do. We are three people, individuals, and I'm grateful for you guys who can help express it in a way that I can't. Or I mean, not that I don't believe it, but I don't have the articulation that you guys have. And without you and the people of the network, and there are very few people I talk to about politics, as Paulie will attest, because it's more depressing than it is cathartic. You know what I mean? But we're trying, we're hanging in there. Paulie, what else? How about you? What's going on with the network?
Well, we're just doing what we do here at Edge Studios. We're always looking for more people to express themselves in a creative, positive environment. So if that's you, please reach out to us at edgestudiosonline.com, or you can send us an email directly to edgestudiosonline@gmail. As you can see, we have Zig out there in the studio, his mobile studio somewhere in Alameda, California. I sit here in San Francisco. And Fred, you're in like Southern Cal, so we've got everybody online. But we don't care if you're in your basement. I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you saying, Fred?
It's about 100 degrees here today.
Yeah, it's supposedly going to be 105 out in the valley where I'm from. I live out in the Central Valley. I'm out by Manteca. I'm in a little town called Lathrop. And so Lathrop's supposed to be hot, hot, hot all week long.
Manteca is the gateway to Madera, by the way.
Is it? Is that what it is? Okay.
Look at
it that
that's
way.
what it leads to. That's what it leads to. I lived in Sacramento for many years on and off, and I know their mindset, but it doesn't seem, in retrospect, in living there, it was never like this, never like what the country is turned into. We're depressed. Thank you for recognizing that, and thank you both for helping me make light, make heads or tails of it all. And we haven't been able to. We don't know why, but pointing out that it exists, that the craziness exists, is cathartic.
Absolutely. It's good to be with some of your own kind, even if it's just to kick the tires and scream at the universe. So it's always good to be here with you guys. Thank you for being a part of it. Fred, thank you, as always.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, both of you, for letting me tilt against the windmills.
There you go. Get your toothbrush out, Don Quixote. Here we go. All right, for
I'll
myself.
play Don Quixote.
No, go ahead. That's all right.
Okay. I'll play Don Quixote for a moment.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for myself, Zig, and Fred Wallin, we are out of here. We will see you next week here on Zig in the Zone every Tuesday from 11 to 1 p.m. PST. We'll catch you guys next time here in the zone.
Thank you both for being you. And thank your mothers. You both have